Hey, good afternoon, everybody, or I guess good morning for some of you on the West Coast, and good evening for you in Europe and other places abroad. We survived that first 30 minutes today. That was a bit interesting. I'm glad that we're all here to say that we made it through. It was a bit of a bumpy ride, but we are here finally at the seventh Comic Art Live event, relatively unscathed. So I'm happy to have everybody with us today. I'll tell you, it wasn't the exact start that we hoped, but things are happening that, are pretty much consistent with past shows. We're over 250,000 in sales already, which is fantastic. I've picked up something myself for the first time in the first few hours of a show, so that's pretty cool as well. I saw Kavi mention in the chat that this was his first time with a booth, and he's already sold a few pieces. That's great. I've got emails from a couple other first-time booth owners as well who are very happy with the sales that they've had. And, by and large, I think, while I've seen a few prices that were maybe, fishing, we always see that every day, right? So it's not out of the ordinary, but I think that there's going to be a lot of commerce made throughout this entire weekend. And, this is really the largest opportunity, I think, for us collectors to sell and buy artwork anywhere at any one given time. I mean, right now we are at the 5,000 piece mark for both Saturday and Sunday art drops. But by the time everything's all over with, we'll definitely be, we'll be over the 6,000 mark. We're at 6,000 now, I should say. So I think we could be up around 7,000 by the time this thing finally ends on Sunday. But we did have some problems at the start of the show today. I'm sure everybody noticed, who was a premium member, that the site ran a little bit slow for the first 30 minutes. We didn't really know why. We were poking around trying to figure out where the issues were. But thankfully, Jiggy sent me a text and let me know that the Sunday art pieces were showing up. And that was the clue we needed, because we didn't know that essentially the whole hall, both art drops were being previewed at the same time. And the code really wasn't built to work like that. And so we were at a little bit of a disadvantage. But as soon as Jiggy pointed that out, it set us on the right path to fixing it. It was a simple problem. It was just an oversight, really clerical at the end of the day. And, we will have learned from our mistakes. But Josh says he's picked up a couple pieces. Mr. Easy Go Lucky's picked up a piece already. I know Mike Berkey sold a few pieces already today. Some of those Massafera pieces. So yeah, everything's still going well. Oh, Black Viper of Thorn says he's been up since 4 a.m. and it's morning. Yeah, Jiggy, when he was texting me, I mean, it's right now it'd be 2:30 a.m. for him, but he's still going strong. And again, it's been great. I'll tell you, right at 11 o'clock, I saw 2 emails go out from dealers announcing, their booth openings. I've seen several other emails going out throughout the day from other dealers and reps, which is cool. Everybody really kind of promoting the show, the way I don't know, the way I always kind of expected it to, but it's so nice to see it actually happening. But let's see. Mark, what did Marcus say? Overprice and fish to anchor the booth and get people to come back and look at it. Yeah, I get it. That's kind of how it works, Marcus. You got to put a few big, whenever you go out fishing, you don't always get the the whales and the sharks all the time, but sometimes it's okay to sell the small pieces. But Southern Comic Ink said picked up one, not fast enough on others. Exactly. That is that is consistently a problem, right? But the one thing that went out without a hitch was the premium member keyword alert. I'd like to think everybody was happy with that. We sent out 635 individual emails to premium members who have their want list keywords set up that had results. I mean, I had a lot of them, but I know several other people did as well. And so, that gives everybody a huge leg up on on what to do when the hall opens. And I think some people probably even go through it and hit up a few people even before the hall opens, because they can see who has what and things. So Josh says it worked perfectly. That's good. And let's see, taking it slow, saving pieces, and we'll see what shakes out tomorrow. That's true. Everybody remember, if you're not using it, please, when you're browsing stuff on the site for the show, there's the save button. It's the heart icon on it. click those. Save as many pieces as you want. I mean, it helps you to remind you that what pieces you like, and you may want to go back to later. Also, new to the show this time around, if you take a look underneath the Comic Art Live menu at some point later today, there is a link for emails sent. So now you can actually track all the emails that you have sent out during the show. We don't have an end-to-end communication system built in it either way. From the booth side, they can't like reply to you from within CAF, and you as a buyer can't communicate back with the seller, through that system. But it's an archive of all the emails that you've sent out. So, I think that it's a step in the right direction. Maybe by November, we'll have something a little different with the email system. We're also experimenting for the first time with a real checkout. Andy and Veronica Fish have that in their booth. And they didn't bring a lot of new stuff like they usually do. They do have stuff in their booth. And I know that 2 commissions were sold through their booth today properly through the checkout system. So that's pretty cool. We finally got that worked out, and I can expect to see that rolled out to a greater degree in November to the sellers that want to use that. So I'm pretty excited to finally have that system in place. We've been talking about it, I think, ever since the first show. So 3 years later, here we are. We do have it. So, I'm happy about that. What else am I happy about? Other than the fact that I'm going to be listing a lot of art for sale in my booth tomorrow to cover the purchase that I made. Garbius Plus says, how do you claim a piece? What, during the show? Just email the booth owner and negotiate the purchase with them. That's how you do it. Gabe Freeman says, one of my emails sent shows up 3 times sometime. I don't know. Maybe you hit the send button 3 times. If it was early on in those first 15 minutes, the site was running slow. So if you hit anything like send on a web form or of any kind, and you hit it multiple times, especially with the email ones, it would actually send it 3 times. So, again, it was a hiccup. I can't promise you it'll never happen again, but we've learned from our mistake, and we won't have that error or issue ever happen again. That's for sure. Gabe says yes at 11:01. So that's probably what happened, Gabe. If you hit it a couple times, it will definitely send it multiple times and record it to the database. It just looked like it wasn't, because the site was responding so slowly, particularly in those first 5 minutes. We have a way of tracking the errors that happen on the server, and we had probably like 60 to 80 that happened in the first 5 minutes, and none after that. So the first 5 minutes, when it was like 900 premium members were on the site, hitting everything at once, that's when everything sort of crumbled a bit. Let's see. Garb Plush, will I see their email here? Where is the listing page? You mean just for the con? I guess I'm not quite sure what you're asking for there, but if you to get into the show, I mean I can post the link in the chat. I'm just not sure exactly what you're asking about right there. But there's how you get into the show itself. Jerry Bourne says, I learned snooze you lose. I'll be ready in November. That is true. It's a tricky thing, but that's the advantage that premium members do have. I know, Jerry, you went premium last night, so you got to see a little of how things go, but it is a definite advantage for premium members. And it was crazy. I'd say from the time I got up this morning at about 7 until the show opened, I probably got 30 or 40 premium membership payments coming in, and half of those were from new people, whether they were a 3-month payment or less. And it's just always challenging. That's why I always tell people, please, if you're going to be going to the show, make the payments a day or so beforehand. But I will tell you this, and I mentioned it last night, Maureen is going to make her first task after the show be to automate the whole payment system for premium membership, so I don't have to manually update accounts. So we can expect to see that sometime early in the summer, but that'll be nice because then I don't have to worry about updating accounts anymore and trying to navigate those issues with people while I'm also trying to focus on starting the show. So let's see. Josh is the fastest fingers in the Midwest on at 10:59. And there were some pretty good deals, definitely. I've seen a few. I know that I've talked to a few collectors already who are very happy with some of their pickups. And always when it's collector to collector, you have that opportunity, right, to pick up some pieces that that you're going to get at a better price. Other pieces, they're going to be priced a little higher just to see if there's going to be any interest in those pieces. But collector to collector sales tend to have the opportunity to shake out a deal or two, and because somebody's pricing it at what they want, not necessarily what they'd hope to get all the time. So CW, yes, your payment came in early. Garbelius is asking if I'm going to show pieces here. No, actually, well, we do have panels today where there is art for sale. I can tell you that during the 3 o'clock panel with Nick Klein and Felix, I had forgotten about this, but Nick did 3 8x12 or 8x10 sketches. And I can tell you there are 3 Hulks and 1 Thor, and those will be offered for sale during those panels. And so and those will be claimed in the chat. We've got another show at 6 today that will have Ken from 4C and Anthony Snyder called Wheel of Deals that will have art for sale. At 9 p.m. we have a panel with Next Comic Art. I think there's 22 new originals will be dropping for that show. And then tomorrow at 1 p.m. Well, at noon, there's going to be Anthony on. He'll be on from noon to 1 with art for sale and a few other things going on, as always, with him. 1 o'clock, I've got a panel with Paulo Rivera. He's bringing 6 new pieces that will be for sale in the chat. And what else? I think those are the last sale shows that we have for the weekend anyway. Did I say how many items sold? I have not. I don't have a count on the number of pieces sold, but dollar-wise, we're over $250,000 in sales, and that's based on $16 million in artwork for sale as of about an hour ago. So that's pretty much, I think, where we were at this point last year as well. About $250,000 in sales in the first 2.5 hours. And I think we were at around 16 million in art for sale at this, at this juncture last year as well. Well, Garbelius, you could just, if you go over to the site, you'll see you can get to over 4,000 pieces of art for sale on CAF right now from more than 310 exhibitors. Those are out there and active. And again, a lot of art still for sale. Typically, I'm looking at kind of the historical numbers for the show, and we on average sell about 8 to 9, sometimes 10% of the artwork brought. And so that's kind of, encouraging, because everybody knows going into the show is a little nervous about where the sales were going to be at. But, right now with the 16 million in art, we'll probably be around 17 or 18 by the time things end for tomorrow. That, if we can hit that 1.5 million in sales again, I'll be pretty happy. So we're well on our way there. We're 1/6 of the way there right now. But what is needed for the chat claim? What's the process? Off-White Tim. Well, in what will happen is we'll show a slide. I don't have any slides to show you that are any of the items for sale, but like in the Nick Klein panel, they'll be, Felix and Nick will be talking, and Felix will say, okay, it's time to offer up a piece for sale. And we'll just pull up the slide like this, and it'll have the price listed on it, and you'll get to see the image, and you'll be able to type claim in the chat. Essentially, that's what you need to do. You'll just type the word claim in the chat, hit enter. First person to get their claim in the chat is the person who would get the art. So pretty straightforward. It's tricky because most people have pre-typed the word claim in the chat, of course. And, so it's hard to be first. It's very difficult. And, but that's how you claim artwork during these shows. The Paulo Rivera panel tomorrow at 1, his pieces will be at auction though. So that'll be a little bit different. And the auctions happen in the chat as well. We'll, set things at say a $200 starting bid, and then people will bid them up. We give people a 10-second warning when we're going to end the auction for each piece, and then whoever wins wins. And then anybody who claims a piece of artwork or wins one of the auctions, we have an email address on screen that you need to shoot the the seller or the artist an email so you can arrange for payment, shipping, all that stuff. Matt Moore says 143 marks sold on. Yeah, that's probably about right. I looked at it earlier and it was about 120, so 143 is good. Do the sellers see when we save a piece? That's a very good question, Jerry, and something I kind of forgot to talk about. So I'm glad you asked that. Sellers don't see who saved, the piece. However, the seller sees a count. Like I went into Berkey. Berkey is not available this afternoon, and he said, "I've gotten texts. I've sold 2 pieces of art." And I had to go in and log in as him and look at his booth. One of the pieces he sold had been viewed like a dozen times and saved 6 times. So it shows the seller those figures. Now, the cool thing is that for sellers, if you're a seller, probably, I don't know, maybe half of you are sellers. When you're selling, that number, that 6 saves, actually is a link. And what we encourage sellers to do is, maybe later tonight, you might want to drop your prices a little bit on some of the pieces. If you know you have 6 saves on that artwork, drop the price. If you click the link then that says 6 saves, that allows you to send an email to those 6 people who saved your art. Now, you don't know who they are. We don't tell you that. But you can then send them an email saying, hey, I dropped my $2,000 piece to $1,750 if you're interested. So that email then gets sent out to those 6 people who saved it with a link back to the piece. And, maybe that'll encourage them to pick up the piece. So that is a tool for sellers to hopefully go back, and make adjustments to their pricing if they felt they were, being a little bit aggressive or something. But again, it's a good opportunity to, kind of remarket pieces to buyers. And so you can expect that if you save pieces to look at later, you may get an email from the seller, and that, with that, it'll be a formal letter, but just so they do not know that it was you that saved it. So it's very much a blind email to them, but it's a marketing opportunity for them. And I think it works well for everybody. If we introduced that with the last show, and I believe it accounted for a lot of sales Saturday evening, and then right at the end of the show on Sunday too. So let's see. So Matt says, well, the pieces I bought are not marked sold, so it is a lot more than that. Well, that's always good to hear, Matt. I'm glad. I mean, that is the one thing, again, if sellers who are watching, I encourage you, I know you're buying at the same time, but get in there and mark your artwork sold. Don't delete them. Just go in there and change. There's a status box where you have it listed for sale. It's a drop menu. Change it to sold, hit save, boom. Nobody else can email you for the piece. And it gets it in our reporting, which is what I want. And I've had a couple people email me about this as well. Don't zero out the total on the artwork after you sell it. Please leave the number in there. Sometimes I know the buyers beg you to turn it off because they don't want people to know. They don't want other collectors to know what you sold it for. I'd rather you didn't do that, but do what you have to do to keep your buyers happy, I guess. But I'd prefer you don't zero out your sales after you mark an item as sold. Yeah, Marcus, I suggested he load up with Masa Ferris, and he certainly did. Let's see here. Anything else that I can think of? Just trying to go through to answer any other questions, but it doesn't look like it. I'm at least seeing some positive stuff through here, and again, getting a lot of emails from people about their successes, and with a lot of emails about that first 30 minutes. So again, huge apology on that one. It will never happen again that way, but live and learn. It was an unfortunate thing, but after we figured out what was wrong, it was fixed pretty quickly. Question: is the Stellar Deals show tomorrow just Dino or open to others? Actually, Scott, Dino, I'm going to be running it, and I meant to ask last night. I'll ask it right now. If anybody would like to come on and hang out with me for that hour, I'm going to be running that show. Dino has recorded an intro for that show, and he is giving me a list of pieces that he is saving that I'll present. But I'd love it if any other buyers or sellers want to come on and hang out and present pieces that they think are good deals, or that are great pieces priced properly, that are still available at that time on Sunday. So if anybody out there wants to join me tomorrow, and I'm forgetting what time it is tomorrow, it is, what is it? My 5 o'clock show tomorrow, 5 Eastern Standard Time. Shoot me an email, bill@comicartfans.com, and I would be happy to have you on, where we can talk about, pretty much really we can talk about anything. But the goal of the show is to kind of make sure that we introduce to people pieces that we feel as collectors are great buys, or really interesting pieces that are priced properly or whatever. I mean, just it'll be a good roundtable discussion, and it'll be helmed virtually by Dino because he's giving me his list to begin with. And Alberto says that he's picked up 2 pieces already. All right. So let's see what else we got. Thanks for hosting me. You know, I'm happy you feel that way, Samuel. And I've gotten a lot of positive emails so far. You know, it's always disappointing when things don't work exactly the way you want, but you know, I think we've been pretty lucky with the last 5 shows going really smoothly. We were just bound to have some mistake like that happen, and it's okay. You know, at the end of the day, it didn't destroy things, and I think we're back. Let's see. Oh, and there's a good question there. Feedback. Will we be able to receive and give feedback on transactions like last time? Absolutely. When you look underneath the menu up top on the site, underneath Comic Art Live, I've hidden it. But after the show, there will be a link to leave feedback for buyers and sellers. Now, the seller has to leave feedback for the buyer before the buyer can leave feedback for the seller. And that's just there's a lot of reasons for that. Programmatically, we don't have that tie there. You know, you could email a person about wanting a piece, but maybe you're the second one, so you're not the buyer. So we need it's just how it is. With Andy and Veronica, theirs is all set up for them perfectly. Like they go in and they know who bought the pieces because it's running through our checkout system now. But yeah, the feedback will be available at the end of the show. Sellers will leave their feedback for buyers first, and then once that happens, you will be able to leave feedback for the sellers as well. Black Viper Adoran says, how about most ridiculous price? It'll be funny, but yeah, well, you know, we probably can't do that. At the end of the day, there's always going to be ridiculous prices. I mean, Marcus made a point at the beginning of this panel talking about how, you know, some sellers will put a few pieces in there with ridiculous prices to get you into their booth, and then, you know, 85% of it is priced properly. I mean, it is what it is, but I'm not a fan of ridiculing the high priced pieces out there. At the end of the day, some people like to hold on their pieces more than others, and they price them in that manner, you know, and I get it. It's just part of the hobby, and it's not anything that I think we're ever going to change. It's been that way for the 24 years I've been collecting original art. So it's just more obvious and prevalent now because we have opportunities like this to see people being forced to put prices on their artwork. So bootlegging as a habit says my prices are ridiculous, but that's by design. Right, exactly. I mean, you know, some of these pieces you really don't want to sell, but it's fun to participate. You're going to see if people are interested in some of the stuff, and you know, it may work out to your advantage. I mean, you might find a piece that, you know, a buyer is worth overpaying for. I mean, the piece I bought today, I love it. And I've never spent this much money on a piece of art before. And I don't really have a great measuring stick for the value of it. And, but I was content with the price. Maybe I'm buying it with, you know, where it should be in a year from now, or even 2 years from now. But I looked at it and just said, I want it, you know, and I'm willing to do that because it's a piece of art that will go to the grave with me probably. You know, I'm like, I will never need to buy another one of these. And you know, so I was happy with that. And as buyers just kind of have to weigh that. You know, I could have gone out and bought 100 other pieces and, you know, at the show and maybe been equally as happy, but probably not. You know, this is a really great piece. I can't wait to show it off when I get it. But yeah, it is what it is. No price shaming. No, absolutely not. Never, never, never. And yeah, I can't wait to show it off as well. What else we got here? It's like wall art. That is true, Marcus. Bootlegging says, my challenge is that I think so many buyers will seek a discount, so might as well price at a point. Right. Well, I mean, that's the nature of our hobby too. And there's nothing, we're not going to change that here or ever. I mean, every buyer, by and large, starts off the conversation with, will you take blah? And it is what it is. And that's how you haggle, negotiate, and all that stuff. So yeah, we'll never fix that. It's just human nature. So let's see. Before I sign off here and let you guys get back to buying and selling. And Alberto says, I will say, and I know there's nothing you can do about it, Bill, but it's disappointing to see some dealers post the same pieces for the third calf live in a row with the same prices. We want some new stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's true. What are you going to do? I mean, it's not, and it's not just dealers. Collectors do it too. I mean, there's some six-figure pieces, or that near there that collectors have been putting out there, fishing for, gosh, 5 shows, right? I mean, it is what it is, and it's why. I mean, I get asked in that month leading up to the show. People are always like, "Why don't you make it easier for us to post stuff in your booth? Why can't I move stuff out of my classifieds?" And I always tell them it's because I want new art for sale, or I want you to really, be thinking about those older pieces you're putting in there, and hopefully pricing them accordingly. Because, if it was all about recycling what was in your CAF classifieds, we might as well never have a show. I should just like promote people going into the CAF classifieds every week, which is pointless. I'm not going to do that. So that's why we will never have a mechanism for you to import art from your for sale galleries into the booth. You can move them out after the booth back into your CAF gallery, but we will never have a tool to allow you to push art into your booth for that very reason, just because I want to make it difficult. I mean, and I got an email, I guess one of the art reps didn't, they have all their artists taking commissions. They didn't write a single description on the commission amounts or anything. So now that they just have commission request links with no description for the prices, no commission examples loaded, that sort of thing. Again, I can only give everybody the tools they need to do what's right. I can't make them do what's right. So it just is what it is. And Jerry Bourne prices that I saw today and last night, Nick Show made me rethink my purchasing habits of late. I think I've been paying a bit too much. I mean, you never know. I mean, that's just it. But Jerry, that's why it's good to have have friends in the hobby. Ask them sometimes. Maybe they've got more experience with some pieces than others. But what else we got here? Prefer to contact form. Didn't require my phone number just to start a negotiation. Does it actually require? I always forget about that. Does it really require your phone number? I don't know if it does. Does it really? I thought that wasn't a required field. Now you're making me look. Oh, it is. Okay. Well, I mean, is that a bad thing at the end of the day? I guess. I mean, in a lot of cases, like you said, if you're making if you're going into it with a negotiation mindset and not a full-on commitment, I guess putting your phone numbers in there is it could be a little detrimental, but I don't know. I'd prefer it to be in there just because, but hey, we can talk about it. We could talk about it on the recap tomorrow night at 8:00 when the show is over. Well, no, it's not over, right? It ends at 10. But I will have a show at 8:00 that will recap, everything. We can talk about anything we want as far as improvements to our twice annual show. Happy to do that and make a list. That's why I've got a notepad here. I'm taking notes on things I want to see changed for next show, and please do the same. And if there's maybe make 2 columns. One, hey, we did good, and one, hey, I think you could change this and make it better. But it is what it is. But I'd love for people to do that and present those to me tomorrow at 8:00 at 8, and that's in the evening, 8 p.m. Eastern. I am running a marathon, and yeah, I am. I've got my Coke right here. I've got a few coffee drinks in the cooler outside, and we did almost crash the server, but it was really me and Maureen actually that almost crashed it. It was all our fault. Who's for making this a quarterly show, says Sam. I don't know if I could do it quarterly. Remember, we're going to do the OAX show is kind of fitting in between the November and May show. So the in-person show we'll be doing in Orlando next January is kind of my idea of doing things on a quarterly basis. I don't know if we'll do anything in August, but that's what the in-person show is going to kind of fill. So yeah. That is my thought on that, at least for now. But always open to ideas. Black Viper Dorn still says, that. I'm sorry, I'm highlighting the same one again. What did Jason say? Rules and guidelines are often optional according to some middle school. So, I know it is what it is. I mean, yeah, you can only give everybody the tools you think are right, and then you can't make them use it. So yeah, it'd be nice if you could take on a partner or two in different times. So. Yeah, I agree with you on that, Black Viper. People have said that they'd love it if we did more panels. We were kind of light on panels this time around, just because of the schedule I was on. I wasn't able to pursue as many panels as I would have liked, and I didn't involve John Suntress like I've done in the past, only because I just didn't have time to deal with it. And Mark Walters, he was pretty busy today, and he's very tied up tomorrow. So I just didn't have the support on the panel side of the world to do more than what we're doing this time around. So, but anyways, hey, it has been a half hour now. I want everybody to get back to buying and selling, but I do encourage you to take notes during the show. If you want to email them to me, during the show, you can. If you're not going to be able to tune in at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. But, again, we always are looking to improve things, and I get, it is what it is, but I'm so happy where we're at right now. And I think we can only see some better sales throughout this show today. So if you're a seller, don't forget to utilize that remarketing tool with the saves. It will definitely score you a few extra sales before the end of the show. So, all right, I see everybody's having a good time, but remember, next panel will be at 3 o'clock. So 1 hour from now, that'll be with Nick Klein. Felix will be hosting that panel with Nick, and there will be four artworks available for sale during that one. They're all sketches on 8x10 or 8x12 toned paper. They're kind of ink and probably like gouache. It looks like painted pieces of 3 Hulks and 1 Thor. So I want them all. They look great, and they're definitely. I did see the email now. They're very reasonably priced, so I think everybody will be happy to tune in. Already picked up a piece for that one. All right, congrats, Ron. See, everybody's doing all right. So, all right, again, feedback tomorrow, 8 o'clock, or email me, bill@comicartfans.com. And also, if anybody wants to join me tomorrow at what is that? Did I say 6? Yes, I think I said 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for the Stellar Deals panel. Please email me, bill@comicartfans.com. And I'll get you the link so you can join me on that panel. We'll talk about the deals remaining on the show for the last few hours. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of the day, and you'll see me again real soon. But have a great afternoon.